Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, what started as a suspicious person call turns into a major discovery for local law enforcement. Plus, we take a look inside Victoria's new public safety headquarters, find out what services you'll find there. And parishes in Victoria observe Ash Wednesday as they start the Lenten season.
We're looking for warm, windy weather, a little on the overcast side. This will continue through Saturday, but then on Sunday, you might be looking for a sweater. We'll be talking about cooler weather for next week coming up in a moment.
Plus, the food bank of the Golden Crescent gets a big delivery, where it came from and how it will be used. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. A call about a suspicious person leads to a dangerous find in Victoria. Victoria County Sheriff's deputies responded this morning to the 1600 block of Azalea Street. They located someone matching the description and began investigating. That's when they found improvised flammable Molotov cocktail-style devices inside a truck linked to the suspect. ATF agents safely removed all of the devices. Deputies took the suspect into custody and booked him into the Victoria County Jail. Well, here's a look at the inside of the new public safety headquarters for the city of Victoria. Victoria Police, Fire Administration, Municipal Court, and Public Records are some of the departments moving into the building this week. In the lobby of the facility, you'll find a vintage fire truck the fire department preserved over the years. And while the building is operational, the community is invited to an upcoming ribbon cutting and grand opening event for the facility that will be held next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Now, just a reminder, this is not the new driver's license office. That project is still ongoing with DPS. You still have to go to either Port Lavaca or Cuero for Department of Public Safety services like driver's licenses. Well, Houston police say a person tried to breach the cockpit of a Delta Airlines flight this morning. Delta says Flight 2557 returned to Hobby Airport shortly after takeoff after a customer exhibited, quote, unruly and unlawful behavior towards other customers. Delta says the customer did not make contact with or try to access the flight deck. The flight landed safely back at Hobby, where it was met by law enforcement. Authorities have not yet released details on arrests or charges. Well, let's take a look outside now at our forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. And Mac, pretty cloudy today, which was, didn't really expect that, but it still was so nice. There was a nice breeze. The temperature was just about perfect. Are we going to see this continue?
Well, for at least another day or so. We got up to 78 today. Let me see what our current temperature looks like. We were probably right about there. Of course, the overcast just sort of hung around all day, and you're thinking, well, it's going to be cooler. No, it was fairly warm. And of course, it's all that south wind that is kicking up and going to be rather strong again tomorrow. This is that Gulf air rolling back in, but then it all gets pushed out to sea. By the time we get to Sunday, we actually have a frontal system coming through that will cool us down. Any rain? Probably not. But we'll talk about cooler weather over the weekend coming up in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Back to you, Shawna.
8 skiers are confirmed dead after an avalanche in California's Sierra Mountains. Search crews are still looking for a 9th victim. The group of 15 was returning from a 3-day backcountry trip near Castle Peak on Tuesday when the avalanche hit. 6 survivors called for help and took shelter under a tarp. A powerful storm dumped feet of snow in that area, creating whiteout conditions. The Sierra Avalanche Center warned of increased avalanche danger in the Castle Peak area before this incident. FEMA is ordered to stop all travel for its workers. It follows a partial government shutdown affecting the agency. FEMA boots on the ground can continue its work, but no new workers can help, and deployed employees cannot come home until their projects are completed. More than 300 FEMA responders are getting ready for assignments that have been told to stand down. If you see news happening, give our newsroom a call at 361-576-0026 or send us an email to staff@crossroadstoday.com. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is set to testify before a civil jury in Los Angeles, the first time he has taken the stand over claims the company designs its apps to be addictive for kids. The lawsuit was filed by a now 20-year-old woman who says her social media use led to depression and suicidal thoughts. She claims Meta and YouTube use tactics similar to slot machines and even the cigarette industry to keep young users hooked. Both companies deny the allegations. Well, Catholics across the area are observing Ash Wednesday today, the start of the Lenten season. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley talked with a local priest to learn more about the importance of this day.
Many Catholics recognize Ash Wednesday by fasting today and throughout Lent, avoiding meat on Fridays and other holy days. One local priest calls it a powerful sign of faith and commitment in the community.
The ashes represent, the ashes are a sign of that we are dust, and to dust we shall return.
Ash Wednesday marks the start of Lenten season for Catholics. Believers of the Catholic faith call Ash Wednesday a day of preparation before the arrival of Easter. They observe the 40 days of Lent by fasting, praying, and the fellowship of Mass. On Ash Wednesday Mass, priests apply ashes in the sign of a cross on believers' foreheads. The ashes are made from burning palm leaves from previous celebrations.
It marks the changing of the time and seasons, in a time of penance, kind of somber time, a time to really prepare oneself spiritually for Easter.
Father Christopher Fuchs at St. Mary's Catholic Church says Ash Wednesday is a reminder of having trust in their faith.
It's actually, to me, quite inspiring and very hopeful, because so many people will go to church today, and it's not even that they're required to. They voluntarily, on their own, they're drawn to it. They recognize this.
Ash Wednesday is a day of renewal, embracing generosity, and acknowledging your shortcomings. Lent ends with Easter Sunday, which falls on April 5th this year. St. Mary's Catholic Church will hold another Ash Wednesday Mass tonight at 6. Shawna?
Well, the Food Bank of the Golden Crescent just got a big delivery, thousands of eggs, thanks to a settlement with one of Texas's largest egg producers. About 2,700 dozen eggs showed up this morning at the food bank. Attorney General Ken Paxton finalized an agreement with Wharton County-based Cal-Maine Foods, which is sending more than 2 million eggs to food banks across the state. Locally, the food bank will pass those eggs along to partner agencies across the 11 counties it serves. Here are some of the top headlines in the Cuero Record. The Yorktown FFA horse judging team competes for the first time, and Cuero police step up enforcement of school bus laws. To read these stories and more, visit DeWittCountyToday.com. And to get more news, weather, and sports headlines, come to our website, CrossroadsToday.com. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. The FDA will now review a new type of flu vaccine, why there's been a change in course from the agency. Plus, we'll take a look at winter's temporary artistry etched against the horizon of the crossroads.
Number of people in our community, nighttime doesn't mean sleep, it means survival. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting takes a closer look at homelessness here at home, the challenges people face every day, and what's being done to help.
Being able to go take a shower and rest and good to go to work the next day and be comfortable without having to go to work dirty, that'd be awesome.
Life without a home. Thursday at 10 p.m.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration says it will now review a new mRNA flu vaccine from Moderna. Earlier this month, the FDA declined to accept the company's application, pointing to concerns about how the vaccine was tested. But Moderna says no safety or effectiveness issues were raised. After meeting with regulators, Moderna submitted a revised plan. It is now seeking full approval for adults 50 to 64 and accelerated approval for those 65 and older with a follow-up study. If approved, the shot would be available for adults 50 and up in the upcoming flu season. Back pain is one of the top causes of job-related disability in the U.S., and up to 80% of people will deal with lower back pain at some point. It can mean missed work and a lower quality of life, but experts say there are steps that you can take now to help prevent it. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither shares how to avoid years of unnecessary pain.
From improperly lifting something heavy to sitting for prolonged periods, there are many ways to strain your back.
Back pain, unfortunately, is quite common.
Dr. Trishul Kapoor with Cleveland Clinic says you can reduce the risk of developing pain. First, have a healthy diet and exercise. Having a strong core is especially important since those muscles support the spine. And manage your weight, but also talk to your doctor about which number is healthy for you to see on the scale. He says sometimes other factors like fat, muscle, and bone content can skew that.
Weight distribution also plays a significant role in terms of where are you carrying most of that weight, because that can have significant impacts on your spine in terms of increasing certain curvatures that are exacerbated.
Next, get underlying medical problems under control. Kapoor says conditions like diabetes and hypertension can increase inflammation in the body and can eventually lead to spine, joint, and muscle problems. Smoking also causes swelling, so he says to avoid it. And be mindful of the way you pick up something heavy.
Lifting, making sure your back is straight, your posture is correct, and using your buttocks and your knees and your back together in one form to squat yourself up and lift that heavy item or object that it may be.
Finally, Kapoor says not to dismiss persistent pain. If it doesn't go away or gets worse after a few days, see a doctor.
Don't ignore small signs because they could lead to more dangerous things later on.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Kapoor says good quality sleep is key because that's when your body repairs itself. But since we stay in one position for hours at night, he says spinal alignment really matters. He says if you sleep on your back, use proper lumbar support and keep your head lined up with your lower back. If you're a side sleeper, he says make sure your pillow supports your neck so your spine stays straight. A new report shows the number of abortion clinics in the U.S. declined last year. According to the Guttmacher Institute, at the end of 2025, 753 brick-and-mortar abortion clinics were open across the U.S. That's down 12 from 2024. And some of the closures happened in states where abortion is legal and protected. While the number of clinics is shrinking, there has been a sharp rise in the number of medication abortions through telehealth. There's a new way for book lovers to experience their favorite stories. Today, Audible announced the rollout of immersion reading in its app. Customers who own both the audiobook and Kindle ebook versions of a title can now follow synchronized highlighted text as the narration plays. The app will automatically show you which ebooks have audiobook matches. Audible says combining reading and listening can improve focus and comprehension. The company's data shows users who do both consume nearly twice as much content each month. Well, in the Star Wars movie Return of the Jedi, Yoda describes the Force as its energy surrounds us. Veteran photojournalist Bill Clough says the same is true of art.
Hemingway wrote that part of you died each year when the leaves fell from the trees and their branches were bare against the wind in the cold wintry night. Never one to question Hemingway. When you're trying to write in a Paris winter, maybe the cold prevented his noticing the art of trees in winter. They all look the same. And yet, no two are alike. Some seem to defy the sky in shapes misshapen and grotesque. Others, delicate, almost fragile. Birds seeking a nightly roost are not particular. Trees in winter seem to illustrate their own fractal geometry. Twigs resemble small branches resemble large branches resemble trunks. Some bare branches bear coats of Spanish moss, others decorate with mistletoe. It's all a matter of seeing, of shifting focus, of taking the time to be still and to look. Rock star Brandon Boyd knew, "Art is everywhere," he said, "and everywhere is art." Whether backlit on the far horizon of a winter sunset, or even when trees with nothing to hide etch their image on an ominous night. That winter artwork won't be around much longer. Red buds already have taken out their spring fashions and trying them on for size.
Well, incidentally, spring officially starts here at 9:46 a.m. on March 20th. So we officially have a few more weeks, but Mac, it's already feeling like spring outside.
No, so that means that we're in winter right now.
Technically, yes.
Spring begins next month. And then we're already in summertime. I mean, look at that. 78 degrees was our high today. Of course, the overcast sort of kept us from getting even warmer than that. I expect it to be warmer than that for the next couple of days. Coming up, we'll be talking about a couple of frontal systems that may actually make it feel, well, at least like spring. Coming up in a moment. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Warm, windy, and overcast today. You thought, well, it should be cooler with no sun, but it didn't get cooler. We have this frontal system up to the north, and that's really stacking up all the moisture over our area right about here. You can see it right about there, but that gusty wind continues pumping up that Gulf air. This frontal system, although it looks impressive, it's actually going to be falling apart right about there. I don't see it coming, actually passing through our area. Up in North Texas, well, they've got clear skies and a little bit of a north wind, but this storm system right here, that's the frontal system that will change our future. As a matter of fact, by Sunday, it might get a little windy and a little colder. This is the part of the huge complex of western storms. It's amazing how, you know, a month ago, everything was over on the East Coast. Now everything's over on the West Coast in terms of stormy weather. They need it. They need the snow. They need the rain, but it just happens sort of all of a sudden. And so, you've got these problems with people up in the mountain areas and traveling. So this front will be crossing across the southern Rockies and then moving through our area probably on Saturday. And then that gives us a bit of a cool down. Like I said, they're getting rain at the lower elevations and they're getting snow at the higher elevations. And this is actually 1, 2, 3, that's the third storm coming through. Basically the third area of low pressure coming through. That's why they're getting all that beneficial rain. There's no way around it. They need it badly, and we need it because think about it. I know you don't think about it, but think of how many of our rivers begin in the mountains of Colorado and then move down to Texas. The Rio Grande, the Colorado, the Canadian, the Red, all of those need the snowpack in the Sierra or at least in the Rockies to be fed throughout the winter, rather the spring for our area. But we stay on the warm and windy side, rather humid out there all the way through Sunday, and then all of a sudden Sunday we start cooling down, and that's the day you'll be looking for a sweater or a jacket. It's not huge, but it will be chilly because the wind will be rather strong. Tonight we do another night of that fog and low cloud cover. If you're going to be out early, just consider that we'll have another morning of half-mile visibility, and that's until Sunday. Then after that, we'll be clear and dry for a couple of days. Here is the big picture. There you see the storm number 1 and storm number 2 and then storm number 3. Watch as we go forward. We're Thursday. We've got nothing really over us. We go to Friday and you see, what's this? A little bit of cloud cover. Well, there's about a 20% chance that we'll get something Friday night into Saturday as that system comes through. But then after that, it just blows away. And then we're looking at dry, sunny conditions for the early part of next week. It'll be obviously cooler, but moisture just not happening for us. And I'm glad we got that 3/4 of an inch of rain last weekend, because it's going to be a good while before we get our next one. So we're looking at cloudy, overcast conditions and rather humid, getting up to about 78, and of course the fog in the morning. In Port Lavaca, 78. In Cuero, you'll get a little bit more sun in the afternoon. That'll help get you up to about 81. And there you see it in the 80s, 20%, and then the 20%. Saturday, the thing comes through, and on Sunday, it'll be only 67 and very windy, probably 30-mile-an-hour winds sort of buffeting the area for Sunday and Monday. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And we'll toss it back to Shawna.
Here are some of the top headlines in the Port Lavaca wave. Dredging of the Matagorda Ship Channel is expected to begin in April. Plus, Seadrift City Council postponed a curfew ordinance vote related to the city parks and baseball field following an incident with an unhoused man. To read these stories and more, go to portlavacawave.com. And straight ahead, a major chemical company agrees to pay billions to settle tens of thousands of lawsuits. We have the details. Stocks gained ground in today's trading, the Dow climbing just over 1/4%, the S&P 500 rising more than 0.5%, and the Nasdaq closing 175 points higher. The price of oil spiked nearly $3 to $65.29 per barrel. Bayer is settling tens of thousands of lawsuits over Roundup, according to the New York Times. The plaintiffs claim the weed killer can cause non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Under the plan, the German company agrees to pay out more than $7 billion. The Times says payments will cover past and future claims. A Missouri Circuit Court judge still needs to approve the settlement for it to move forward. Environmental and health groups are suing the Environmental Protection Agency over a decision last week to eliminate the endangerment finding, saying it's illegal. The finding is the scientific conclusion that greenhouse gases harm public health and had been the foundation of climate regulations in the U.S. since 2009. In its repeal of the finding, the Trump administration says Congress, not the EPA, is responsible for setting that level of a policy decision. The matter is expected to end up before the Supreme Court. Microsoft is planning to invest $50 billion to expand artificial intelligence in poorer developing countries. The company made the announcement today at a global AI summit in India. A recent report found AI use in wealthier countries is about twice that of developing regions. Executives warn the growing AI divide could mirror past gaps like unequal access to electricity. Microsoft leaders say the investment will focus on infrastructure like data centers and internet access. Well, Ash Wednesday today marks the start of Lent, meaning fish fry season is here, but this year's fish dinners will cost more. Distributors say fish prices have risen sharply over the past 3 years. The Russian war has also limited supplies of frozen cod from traditional fishing waters. Fish prices fluctuate based on catch quantities, weather, and global conflicts. So if you notice your local church or club charging more and more for fish every year, they're likely not hiking prices by choice. Well, stay with us. Hospital staff get an unexpected patient. Find out who or what came knocking at the emergency room door.
The deadly avalanche, now the search and recovery, plus high winds leaving a path of destruction in the heartland, and is a major new storm taking aim at the Northeast. Also, new clues in the Nancy Guthrie abduction. More Americans turn to world news tonight with David Muir, the #1 newscast in America.
Staff at a German hospital were understandably surprised when an injured bird all but checked itself in for treatment at their facility. In a social media post by the hospital, witnesses say the cormorant showed up with a hook stuck in its beak and began pecking at the glass door to the ER. Well, medical staff and firefighters worked together to remove the hook and treat the wound before responders safely relocated the bird to a park behind the facility. One of the medics involved in the rescue said they had never experienced anything like it in their 15 years of professional experience.
That's one smart bird.
I'm glad the bird knew where to go. He knew which door to knock
Well,
on.
he could see the ER and going, this is where I need to go. Wow.
Yeah.
To find the right people that knows how to pull out the hook, that's pretty amazing for a bird.
It is, and they were able to treat it and safely relocate it.
I remember in Cub Scouts with the fishing hooks, and you know how they have that barb?
Yes.
Oh boy, I'm going, all I need is for one of those kids to throw that thing in, get hooked, and go, there you're going to go surgery.
Surprised you don't hear about it more often.
Yeah,
so.
well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Folks, we are looking at another couple of warm days. That'll be Thursday, Friday. But Saturday, we have that front coming in, and that will actually cool us down. I do believe by Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, you'll be looking for a sweater because the daytimes will only be in the 60s, overnight lows down into the 40s. So it's not over with just yet.
All right, just a couple more days to go fishing before that cold front comes.
That's true.
All
Through
right.
Friday.
Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here at 6.